Hi, this is Chris, Video Game Dust Sleeves, and you're listening to the VGDS podcast with DanCavDragon,
Hello, everyone.
Bones06,
Hello, fellow gamers.
Dizzy the Gamer Jit,
Hello, how's this going?
MT Shark 7,
Hey everyone.
and Bargain Bin Hobo.
It's time to hobo up.
Per the norm, sleeve it or leave it. First title is Wario's Woods. Bones, sleeve it or leave it.
I'm compelled to say sleeve this, so I'm gonna go with sleeve it.
Dan,
Yeah, it's a Mario game, so I'll sleeve it.
Dizzy,
I'd sleeve it. I'd actually say it'd probably look good in a 3D sleeve.
MT Shark,
Yeah, I would sleeve it. It's an NES game.
and Bargain Bin.
Big Mario fanboy, definitely sleeve this, and I would also sleeve the Super Nintendo re-release.
And next title, Deja Vu for the NES. Dan, sleeve it or leave it.
I would sleeve this. I'm a fan of these type of games. I played them on computer. The NES isn't that great of a version of it, but I would still sleeve it.
Bargain Bin.
I'd leave it. I'm really not into this kind of game, and for some reason I thought that was Dick Tracy on the cover.
Yeah. It does kind of look like him.
Yeah,
It does.
Mark, MT Shark.
Just like Deja Vu from my last answer, I'll sleeve this one as well.
Bones,
I'm gonna skip it.
and Dizzy.
I would definitely sleeve it, mostly because it looks like he's holding this dust sleeve in his hand right there.
I see it. Next title, Mace The Dark Age for the N64. MT Shark, sleeve it or leave it.
Yeah, I would sleeve it.
Bargain Bin.
Yeah, I'd sleeve this one and play it with friends. It actually, I do enjoy some jank fighting games, so yeah, I'll sleeve it.
Dizzy.
I'd sleeve it. I've never played it, but it looks like Lord Zed from Power Rangers on the front, so that's enough to have me sleeve it.
I played the arcade game once.
Dan.
I've never played it.
Oh man, I'm on the fence on this one, but I'll borderline sleeve it.
And Bones.
I already have it sleeve, so there's your answer.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
And the last title, Mickey's Speedway USA. MT Shark.
Yeah, I would sleeve it. Although I never played it, looks pretty good.
Dan Cav.
Yeah, I'd probably sleeve this game.
Dizzy.
I'm sure it's not as good as Mario Kart 64, but I would sleeve it, yeah.
Bones.
It's sleeved.
Oh, already.
And Bargain Bin.
Actually, I do own this game, and if you can't tell from the cover, Rareware actually made this, and it's
Oh,
actually
snap.
surprisingly good. So, yeah, I would sleeve it.
Alright. Moving along. Co-op edition of Guess That Box Art. Any guesses for the first image? Anybody?
Mm.
Some
I know what it
kind of
is.
anime, if I had to guess.
You know what it is, Mark?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's a Toombo on PS1.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I
there
see
you
it
go.
now. I know the second one, actually.
Go ahead.
That would be Hogs of War.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
nice.
I didn't know either one of them.
Yeah, well, what system is that on?
Hogs of War is on
Well-
PlayStation 1.
Oh man.
Yeah. I've seen it in, like, the PlayStation, like, the PlayStation Classics on PS3, but I think it's a strategy game, which I'm not really into.
So, since it's the co-op edition, who chose which title?
Your wife chose Tomba.
Yes, she did.
Oh, wow.
Nobody's been tripped up yet. I haven't had a podcast yet where I actually stump somebody. One of these days, it will happen, and that will be the
Yeah.
day
Well, in the meantime.
that I win. All right. Next segment, Bones.
This logo sleeve of the month is DOA Hitman. He's not here, so we can't ask him what game he should like to have in there, but let's have Dizzy. Dizzy, what game do you think should be a DOA Hitman sleeve?
Knowing DOA a little bit, I would say either Def Jam Vendetta or Pokemon.
Pokemon.
What about like there's like an anime Go-Go whatever where like you
Well,
played as a hitman?
The
Oh,
the
I didn't
basis
even think
behind
about
this is Hitman. He
Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that's actually that's the reason why you see the outline, right? That is Hitman.
Yeah,
That,
it is.
Yeah, that's Agent 47.
yeah.
PS2
Nice.
Hitman.
Nice. If anybody's
I was
interested
waiting
in
for
this-
somebody to say it. Like somebody say Hitman.
That would
I
have been
was
the most
looking at it, but I
obvious.
didn't. I'm just staring at it like, yeah, okay, that's Hitman, but I didn't.
Yeah,
think about it.
Same here. Wow.
Well, if anybody's interested in acquiring one of DOA Hitman's dust sleeves, just hit up Chris at videogamedustsleeve.com. Or not .com, but online. You can look them up anywhere online.
You can look me
Twitter,
up online. Just search me on Google. Like I'll come up. That's like one of the first things I come up
Video
with.
Game Dust Sleeves. Look them up. He'll hook you up.
The OnlyFans site.
Oh,
Not when I'm drinking coffee, damn it. Oh
no,
my God.
no OnlyFans site here. Sorry.
That's exactly what I was just going to say when I was trying to drink the coffee. There's no OnlyFans of dust sleeves. At least not that I'm aware of. Okay, on to the next section. Franchise of the month. Dan?
All right. For this month, we have Devil May Cry, the series. I was looking at this. I was coming with the franchise of the month, and I was thinking about this game the other day, and I was like, I remember watching my roommate play this game, and he beat it to completion. So I haven't played many of these games, but then I watched a lot of it because he was playing it. That made me think. I said, "Man, this series must be pretty old." I'm thinking back to my college roommate days, and watching somebody play this. So this franchise has been around for about 20 years already. So, and still, we had the latest installment with Devil May Cry 5 not too long ago on the PS4. So, I'd be curious to see what everybody thinks about the series and if you played it. So, let's start with Bones at the top, as usual.
Well, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Now, I do own a bunch of these, but I've honestly never really sat and played them. I dabbled with the first one, and I might have dabbled a little bit in the second one. I never owned them back when they first were big and came out. My buddy Brandon did. He played those, God of Wars, all of them. He loved them. And I'd sit there and I did the same thing, and I'd watch him play them. I never really did play them, though. But I do have, I think, four out of the six you have up there. The first two, and then I don't have. What's the third one there, Dan?
It's Devil May Cry 1, 2, and 3. Then there's 4. Then
So yeah, I don't have 3.
And then they did kind of like a reboot on the PS3, and then then they came out Devil May Cry 5.
I mean, it looked like a cool game from what I watched of it. A little bit I played in the first one was fun, but I never got sucked into it enough to actually play the franchise.
Yep. Yeah, the first one had a pretty cool story. I remember I enjoyed watching that a lot, but I didn't play or watch the rest of them, so I don't know how the story progressed from there. How about Dizzy? Have you played these games before?
I like that they're Capcom games, so they have to be really good. And I've seen before that a lot of people like these games. So when I started collecting more for PS2, maybe around 6 years ago, I definitely had to have these 3 in the collection. So I did buy them in different lots just to get all 3 of them. I still haven't played them. Eventually I will, just because, like I said, I know a lot of people love these Devil May Cry games. So they're in the collection, but I haven't popped them in yet.
Alrighty. How about you, Mark? Have you played Devil May Cry?
Yeah, I own the first 3 on PlayStation 2. I played the first one, but I don't know. I just couldn't really get into it because when I played it on the HD TV, the picture was really dark, and I didn't want to adjust the brightness on my TV because if I play other systems, it'll be too bright. so I just never messed with the brightness settings, and I just couldn't really get into it. I think I got like maybe like into like the third level or something in the first one, and I stopped. But I really should try it on the CRT since I have one. Maybe I'll have better experience.
Ah, that's interesting. I never thought about that, but that's a good point. This is how old the game is. It's probably on the cusp of HD TVs, and
Yeah.
maybe technically wasn't ready for prime time yet. How about Bargain Bin? Have you played
CRT
Devil
all the
May
way.
Cry?
Yeah, I do actually have most of these. I have the HD collection of the first 3 games, and actually, I have that 2 times. I have it on the Xbox 360, and then I found it on PS4 at a yard sale. So I'm thinking I'm gonna be handing off my Xbox 360 copy if anybody wants it. And then I do have the quote unquote bastardized version. I played it briefly, and it's not bad. I just haven't really felt compelled to play it again. I was just be prepared. It's a lot more raunchy. Like at the beginning, he's like finishing up quote unquote playtime with the girl, and then like he's like jumping out of his motorhome, and his member is like censored by like a pizza slice that's like flying through the air. And then you get your guns hanging out of a bra. So just be ready for that. But I also have Devil May Cry 4. I got it at the last a swap meet I was at a couple months ago. But I haven't finished any of them. I really think I should get on that because these are actually pretty fun. I think I got about halfway through the first one when I had it for PS2 and then just turned it off. But if you like that kind of game, I would strongly recommend you look up Van Helsing on GameCube, Xbox, and PS2 because it's the same kind of thing, but with Hugh Jackman at the helm.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Thanks for the recommendation for sure. And Chris,
Yeah.
do you have any of these games?
Actually, I have 2, and they're from Bargain Bin.
Oh wow,
Oh, nice.
nice.
I have Devil May Cry and Devil May Cry 3. But I have not played them yet, so can't give you any insight on the game.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a like I don't know if it's underrated or just you don't hear much about it these days, but it's been there, it's been stuck around, and I can tell you the first one, watching it to completion, it has a really good story, and I was pretty surprised at the time, and I was like, watching my replay, I was like, yeah, I'll definitely want to play it myself one day, and maybe definitely the sequels, but I never got around to it, so. Alrighty. Well, I think we've heard it. Bargain gave a really nice. I think he might have sold a few copies there with his
Right?
description of the raunchiness. So
Yeah.
Now I gotta see it.
yeah. So hopefully somebody out there can is inspired to play it.
Hopefully, because it is actually pretty good if you can get into it.
They're on the never-ending backlog that I have.
Right? Same here.
Yep, mine too.
Everyone,
What's that, Bones?
every one of us.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Eventually.
All right. Here we go. Today's podcast brought to you by Bargain Bin Hobo.
You're welcome.
I feel like I'm on Sesame Street when I do that. And the letter of the day is
C.
Not the Cargan Hobo.
B for bargain bin.
That's right. B comes before C. Remember that. All right. But today's topic is past versus present. We have 12 questions to get through, so let's get going. Number 1, what is something in video games you struggle with as a kid but find easy now? Bones.
Honestly, I'd say it was probably would be the controllers. Just getting to really use 2 joysticks, I think, would have been probably the biggest thing. Tank controls, another big thing. That was a problem as a kid, but as an adult, I'm more coherent to understanding how to kind of, I would say, manipulate them to work better, more in my favor than when I was a kid and would just get all pissed off. You can kind of understand what you're doing. I mean, I get they're dumb controls, but you understand them more as an adult. I didn't understand that shit as a kid. Resident Evil was extremely hard. I did beat it, but it was still hard. I think the controller is pretty much one of the biggest struggles that I had as a kid. That is so much easier now. Now using two thumbsticks is a joke. It's like second nature.
Dan.
That's a good answer, Bones. That made me think about something else for one of the later questions. But for this question, you have to realize I'm old, and and so like when I was a kid, like, it was like Atari, right? So there's not much you can struggle with Atari. But
Whole console.
but I guess one thing that I struggled with as a kid that I don't have as much of an issue as these days is buying games. But as a kid, I'm not working, right? So I struggled to build a collection as a kid, and I'd have to trade games with my friends and trade them in or rent games and all that. So it's much easier to buy a collection now, to build a collection now that you're an adult and have a job. So
Good answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Dizzy.
Well, my kid console was NES, so I'd say everything. Like, I never beat NES games as a kid. I would pretty much just play them to pass the time and to just learn what to do to progress the next time I played or to get farther the next time I played. And I'd hope to complete a game, but never really did. Whereas now with, memory cards, save points, now my goal is to actually complete the game. And, it may take a few weeks or months, but now I want to actually complete the games and beat them. So that was the main struggle, just beating games where, like, now NES games, you could probably beat Mario in a couple hours or Super Mario World in a few hours, but as a kid, I just never beat the games. So that was the main struggle.
Empty Shark.
I would say storyline, because as a kid, I never really paid attention to any of the stories
Makes sense.
in games. But now that as an adult, I can actually read it and understand what the heck is going on in the game.
Yeah.
And Bargain Man.
So for me, my kid consoles were the N64 and the PS2, and a lot of things I struggled with, but the biggest one was like when you had to hit the button really fast. Like you had to, so for
Rapid
example,
fire.
the first boss of the first God of War, you had to mash the circle button really quick to be able to damage the boss, and I never could do that or anything like that very well. But if we had like a turbo controller for that console for the N64, fine, just use that. But for the PS2, we never did until I was an adult, so I had to get my brother to do this for me. The problem was he wouldn't just do it and give it back. He'd keep playing it.
Of course.
I had to do it myself. Now it's like that first God of War boss is like nothing now.
I have to say they're all good answers.
Yeah.
It's funny that everybody came up with something different. I didn't think there would be too many different answers, but
Well, me neither, actually.
all right. Number 2. Is there anything in games you struggle with now that you used to find easy? Bargain Bin.
Okay, so I have a specific game in mind like this one too. When I was a kid, I had a copy of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Fall of the Foot Clan on the Game Boy, and I must have just marathoned that thing all day long some days because I got to the point I could beat the entire level without ever getting hit, and I could no death run the game. Like I remember, it was kind of weird for my friends because I remember I was on a scouting event and I brought my Game Boy, and I distinctly remember my friends saying, "Hey, I made it to Ninja Level 3. It only cost me 3 Ninja Turtles." But now, I'm wondering, where the heck did I find time to get that good at the game? Because I do not have that time anymore. Like, I recently beat the game again, but I was down to my last turtle, and he just barely survived the fight with Krang. So, I'm wondering, where did all that time go? Because I do not have that anymore.
MC Shark.
I would say it's all the games I used to beat all the time as a kid. Like I used to beat Super Mario 3, Mega Man 3, and Jurassic Park on the NES. And now I find them really difficult.
Dizzy.
Pretty much the controllers. Like, we started with 1 button on Atari, 2 on NES, 3 on Sega, and like now I don't know how many the Xbox and the Switch have, but even going from different consoles, like you might have the same game on PlayStation and then play it on the 360, and it might have a different button for the same weapon, and so the controllers, it was a struggle well, it's a struggle now, but it used to be easier just with Atari, one button, bam, bam, bam. That's it.
Dan.
It's funny, the exact opposite of Bones' answer, actually.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's what exact same thing Dizzy said. That's well I said earlier that I'm going to steal Bones' answer, but in a different question. Ed, is this?
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think controllers have way too many buttons these days for me, and so like some games like first-person shooters or sports games, like, where every button is mapped to something specific, map or flashlight or on sports, like every move is different. Those are hard for me to remember. I mean, I guess if you really study the game and play it and practice a lot, it'll be easier. But for me, picking it up for the first time, it's a lot harder to jump in and start playing right away than it is when I was a kid.
Bones.
For me, I'm going to say this is going to be timing. As a kid, I was a lot better with timing. And I'm not saying I'm old, but as I get older, yeah, I tend to watch things happen before I hit the button. And it's only getting worse as I get older. I'm taking notice to that. Like, especially, let's say, Guitar Hero or Rock Band even. I am pathetic anymore when I even try to play it. And I was really, really good at that. Even things like old school, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, I could still run pretty quick all the way up to Tyson. But as a kid, I could do it even quicker. So my timing has definitely gotten a little shittier over the years, unfortunately. Like you guys said, though, if you practice more, you will pick it back up. But I don't have time to put that kind of practice in.
Fair enough.
Number 3. What is a fun feature about retro games that is lost with modern gaming? Bones.
Everything.
I
I mean, honestly, everything. I'm just going to leave it so that everybody has something to answer, but I'm going to say manuals.
Dan.
Yep.
I will say retro games are nice because you can just stick the game in and start playing. You don't have to like sit there and
No
connect
load
to the
screens.
network and download updates and everything. Like that.
Yes.
So you can just turn it on and plug it in and play. That's a best feature about retro games.
Dizzy.
I wouldn't say it's dead, but the co-oping was something that was a lot more fun to do back in the day. Like just having that person there next to you, playing Mario Kart, knocking the controller out of their hands, kind of cheating. Like we could still do co-op on a different level, playing online and multiplayer, but having that person there where you could actually mess with them and laugh around was a lot more fun before.
MC Shark.
I would say having the entire game on physical media.
Yeah.
And Bargainman.
So I'm gonna kind of do a bit of an out there answer of the file names. So like in the modern system, it's all saved internally. It doesn't save to like even the Switch doesn't have save for the cartridges anymore. So like everything's brand new. But when you get like an N64, Super Nintendo, you get like who's the file names. Like it's always fun to see. You have like the normal names like Billy, Jimmy. Then you have like Fart and Poop and whatnot.
Yeah, I know what you
See,
mean.
like who's the little brother? And I actually am not lying to you. Last year I got handed a bag of Super Nintendo games at church, and Easter no less. And one of them was a fishing game, and the file names were, and again, I am not making this up, Bilbo Baggins, Commie Lesbian, and Bubba.
Is that Bubba from Forrest Gump?
Jeez.
I mean, I actually have a memory card that has saved files called Dick Smack 99, so you're not lying at all.
Oh, man. I haven't come across any of those yet. Oh man,
That's a good picture of it. I have to show it sometime.
I'll put it up in the podcast if you do.
Yeah.
All right, number 4. What is your favorite feature about modern games that retro games did not have? Bargain bin.
Okay, so one thing I absolutely love about modern games is like the sleep mode. So you're playing, and then we have to go to the bathroom, or the phone rings, or you suddenly have to run to Walmart. Put it in sleep mode, go do your stuff, come back and pick up right where you left off. I really do love that feature.
MC Shark.
I would say wireless controllers.
Dizzy.
Well, this I would not call this co-op, but I would say like online multiplayer with headsets, because back in our time, like we couldn't even fathom playing with somebody across the world and them not being right next to you, you know. And hopefully in the future we're gonna have, you know, get rid of that, and we'll actually have the person's hologram sitting right next to us. So it's kind of more like couch co-op.
Only.
Dan.
I guess like higher production value, like actual voice acting and movie scenes, and that helps, you know, build the atmosphere of the game a little bit better in modern games than retro games were able to do.
Bones.
Well, for me, since I'm not big into modern gaming, the only thing I use my modern system for the most part, is a VR unit. So I'm going to go with VR.
Fair enough.
All right, number 5. What will modern gamers never understand about retro gaming? Bones. I'm scared to ask.
Would you be scared to ask? I mean, honestly, like the one thing they're never going to understand the whole sit there with 4 people playing Mario Kart. Like they're never going to understand that feeling. That's the one thing that I know for sure those kids now will never understand. That whole, it gave you purpose to go to a buddy's house and stay over to play video games all night. Like Dizzy said, now everybody sits at home, you go online, you don't have to go to your buddy's house. So that whole connection of 2, 3, 4 your buddies, everybody meeting up. And they're not kidding when they said, you know, there were bikes out in front of everybody's house. Like, everybody always did know where everybody was. It's not like that anymore, and they'll never know that.
Dan.
I think modern gamers won't understand how much creativity or innovation went into making a fun game with the limited resources of the time. So yeah, with limited graphical tools, or even like being limited to one screen, you really had to make a really fun game to get people to play it and make what people want to play it in a very limited fashion. And they did a great job of that. There are so many retro games that we think of, you know, and we love to play as kids, and people today look at it and go, oh, it looks old or crappy, I don't want to play it and stuff. So I think, you know, we were able to be a lot more creative or use our imaginations a lot more back then. So I don't think modern gamers will appreciate that as much.
Dizzy.
In my opinion, the fact that it wasn't retro gaming, it was just how we were gaming at that time. So kind of calling it retro or modern separates it into categories where a kid born in the GameCube era isn't going to want to play anything called the retro or old. But during the GameCube era, we weren't calling it retro gaming. It was just gaming to us. Like, I don't think in the 90s we were calling Atari retro gaming. You know, calling it retro gaming to me came out more in like the mid 2000s, or when YouTube started getting bigger and they want to kind of separate, you know, what particular YouTubers were playing. They were playing just retro games, or some other gamers were just playing newer games. So that kind of separated it into 2 categories, but I don't really think it was ever called retro gaming back then.
MC Shark.
I would say setting up an Atari, like you're changing the switch box from TV to game, and changing the channel from 3 to 4 just to get the picture on the TV.
Do you know how lost they'd be, Mark, if they got out that little plug
man.
with the two prongs on it that you had to screw to the back of the TV?
Yeah,
Like, what is this?
You need to get a screwdriver?
They'd be like, what the heck is this?
And Bargain bin.
I think one thing. Okay, so modern gamers don't know how good they have it now. Like they have all this technology we do not have, and I know for a fact all of you can relate to this. You know, we're going on long car trips and we have our Game Boy with us, but the Game Boy did not have a backlight like phones and like Switches do. So it's nighttime, and you're not going to be there for another hour. You still want to play your Game Boy, damn it! So you're going to play your Game Boy by the streetlights going by.
Yeah.
And kids will never understand that.
Leaning into the window so you catch the street light.
Yeah.
Yep. Nobody had mentioned how revolutionary retro gaming is. They'll never understand that.
Well, they will never will.
Oh no.
Also, like how hard games were back then compared to now.
Oh, for sure.
You
Yeah.
You get a lot of handheld games in modern gaming, whereas in retro games you don't really get that.
I'd say also that the more modern games, from my notice, like they hold your hand a lot in these games. Where
Oh, yeah.
Resident Evil
Yeah.
games back then, you had to figure it out.
Yep.
Experience like the experience we had, just because the consoles are basically just another PC coming out, another PC. It's pretty much what they are anymore. We went through a completely different phase. All of us did. If you went from 64 on, NES on, Atari on, you went through so many different, like, legit cycles of different graphics. Like, the consoles in general changed so drastically. Now it's nothing like that. I'd like to say spoiled bargain bin is a good word to put for them. They are so spoiled, it's ridiculous.
Oh,
Yeah,
for
that
sure. I
works.
100% agree.
All right, next question. Number 6. What is something retro gamers will never understand about modern gaming? So it's reverse. Bargain bin.
How in the world do gamers think it's okay to put up with ads in the middle of your freaking games? Like, I know advertising in games nothing new. Like the Incredible Hulk game that came out on Xbox, like that 2003 movie, there was Mountain Dew branding all over that game, and I liked that. But I hear that at some point pretty soon here, you're gonna play a game, you have to stop playing your game and watch an ad. Who in the world thinks that's a good idea?
What?
Like, no.
That's
the day
horseshit.
that's happening is the day I stop buying new consoles.
Oh, wow. That's depressing.
Hate.
MC Shark.
I would say how they make it impossible to replace the rechargeable battery in wireless controllers.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. Why don't they have a little thing where you take off the compartment and you can unplug it?
Right.
Right.
Dizzy.
Well, I'm barely getting into the PS4 like this week, and I don't want to go against my other answers, but probably that putting on a headset and chatting with people on other parts of the world could actually be fun. And again, I would not call it co-op at all. I would probably call it like headset op or something like that. It's
Yeah,
not
head
couch co-op, it's headset co-op. So it's a totally different experience, but it can be fun as well. But it'll never be the same as couch co-op though.
Damn.
I think this is something that we always complain about a lot here, and that's digital versus physical media. Like we all, the retro gamers, we always want the cards to discs, and we don't see the appeal of just downloading a game and possibly losing it years later on some server. So the push for digital content, I think, is something that retro gamers don't really understand.
And Bones.
That's what mine was going to be, digital.
That's cool.
I don't think I'll ever understand that without having a physical out. I think it's stupid.
All right, next question, number 7. How has your taste in games changed over the years? Did you start liking things you did not? Did you not like things now that you're used to? Bones.
Well, I'd like to say nothing's changed, guys. This is done and over with, but no, things definitely did change. I used to be fine with certain things that I'm no longer with. I started putting more time and energy into having things in a different fashion. Case in point, boxes for all Genesis cartridges, or as many as I could get. cases for all sorts of consoles, manuals for some stuff. Whereas before, I did not worry about all that really at all. But once I got to a certain point, I feel in the collection, I wanted to add more of those things. Do you not like things? Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, the second part of that question is pretty much I changed things. I didn't like the loose cartridges and other things as well. As far as I was going for strategy guides at one point for the games I was picking up. So if I got Kingdom Hearts, okay, I picked up the Kingdom Hearts strategy guide. Okay, I got Doom, well, I bought Doom. I didn't do that before, and that's something new. I also went through and I had a bunch of strategy guides in a stack. There was probably like 20 of them. They were there for, I couldn't even tell you how long. I just decided one day I'm buying every one of those games. So now I have those games for each of those strategy guides. So I would say that I have some hobby changes. We won't say habits.
Fair enough.
Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I think as when I was younger, I only collected stuff I really wanted to play. I didn't think about how much it was worth or how, what's rare and all these things like that. So as a collector now, as I'm older, and I'm trying to build a collection, then I'm more aware of what something's value is and what's I don't have in my collection and something different. Like as a kid, I would never have bought like a Barbie game or a game show game or some sport I never played, but nowadays, I'm always looking for things I don't have in the collection that I'm trying to pick up. So my buying tastes have definitely changed over the years. And something that I used to like that I don't like as much now is I would say like really long involved games like RPG and strategy games. I used to have more time as a kid and I was really into RPGs. Nowadays I don't ever see myself finishing an RPG anytime soon, so I'm not so eager to go out and buy or follow a series in particular and go collect the entire series. So based on time, I don't buy. I'm not as a big fan of playing some of those games as I used to be.
Dizzy.
I'd say the thing that has changed about me, I noticed is back when I was younger, I liked more variety in games, like playing different games, not just playing the same game over and over. Like I could pop in a Scooby-Doo game and play that for hours as a kid, where now, like, for some reason, I just want to play GTA games. Like, that's my medicine, that's my comfort zone. If I'm playing a Scooby-Doo game, I'm going to take that out and just play GTA. Like, I even had this dilemma last weekend, like, what game am I going to play? And I bought GTA 5 on the PS4. Like, I'd rather just play these certain type of games that I really, really like than playing a variety of different games like I used to when I was younger.
MC Shark.
I would say my taste has changed. I'm now enjoy more variety of different genres of games. And the second part I would say I now started to like RPGs. Back in the day, I never even liked RPGs like I do now. I mean, I'm still not a huge fan. I just like casually like them. And the last part is, there's nothing that I didn't like that I like now. So.
All right, Bargainman.
Alright, so yeah, I have things change. Like when I was a kid, if you ever see me buying a Barbie game, whatever, there was a gun to my head. Now I have Barbie games in my collection. I don't even care. Like I actively went out of my way to buy a Barbie Explorer game on the PlayStation and proudly show that off. And I never would have done that when I was younger. And also, I think I mentioned this before in other podcasts, but I used to be terrified of like first-person shooters. I love them now. Also, blood in games was always a big turnoff for me until I was allowed to play infantry games, and then now I'm okay with blood. And also I used to be really into, oh gosh, I had it for a second. I had it really into like Sesame Street kind of games, like like the really
oh yeah
kids when I was a kid. Kind of outgrown those. I don't really play those anymore. I mean, I don't think I'll even bother to collect them unless I want to talk about them on my YouTube channel, which I'm actually starting to get back off the ground again. But yeah, like anyone else, my tastes change and evolve, and I like things now that I used to, and vice versa. So yeah.
Number 8. If you could play only retro games or modern games for the rest of your life, which would you choose? Bargain.
Oh man, that's hard because I mean there are games on both sides that I would really miss if I can only choose one. But my nostalgia will not allow me to choose anything but retro. But I'm gonna miss some of that modern stuff. But yeah, I love the retro stuff.
Empty Shark.
Yeah, I would have to go with retro because it's more playability. It seems like modern games, it's like one and done, and there's no replay value.
Mm-hmm.
Dizzy.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Mark, because at the same time with these modern games, like I said, they hold your hand, and once you beat it, you don't want to play it again.
Yeah.
But with me, it definitely be retro. It definitely would be PS2. The graphics still hold up, and it's full of great titles.
Mm-hmm.
Dan.
For me, this is the easiest question of the entire group because for me, it's retro games all day long. I had like a few minutes today to come down and play a game, and I was like, "What should I play?" And the first thing I went to was Zaxxon, the original arcade game. You know, so I'd rather play something old like that than something new.
Well, we know what Bones' answer is, Bones.
I know what my answer is, and my answer is gotta be retro. Dude, think about it. You went all the way up to original Xbox. So that's got to include Saturn in there. You got Dreamcast up in there. You got all those great. Now, it's retro all the way, baby.
Yeah.
It's a shame we don't really have that other opposite side on the podcast.
They'd be very.
Are you saying we need a young guy or what?
we have a couple young guys in here.
I'm 28 myself.
See, Bargain Bill's a young guy.
Well, no, we got to go low to the barrel here, man. We got to go to like 18-year-old.
You gotta go to my son, right? My son's age.
Yeah, that would work.
He would
Love
definitely
to see
say,
him get started with
yeah.
these.
I'm hoping he gets on one of these eventually. He keeps telling me no, but he's definitely a gamer. I don't know why he doesn't want to come on here. Because Dad runs it, maybe.
So I ain't doing a podcast with Dad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because Dad runs it.
If it was a hot girl, he'd be all over it.
All right, number 9. What would your past self say about your current game collection? Bones. Holy shit!
High five. You did it. You got it. You wanted a blockbuster video, you made one happen. Congrats.
Talk about pat yourself on the back. All right, Dan.
My past young self would probably be like,
Holy shit!
well, like, why do you have so much crap in your collection? Get rid of some of this stuff. You know, why do you have so many copies of the same game? You know, just pick one system and stay with it.
Dizzy.
He probably shit on himself. Going from about 6 or 7 NES cards to like multiple consoles, about 30 or more solid game titles on each console. You know, he'd have to be amazed. Like sometimes I think because a lot of the retro consoles I had, I gave to my daughter, and she has like a game room, but she doesn't see it like that. Like sometimes I look at her collection and I'm like, wow, if I was her age looking at this stuff, I'd be like, holy crap, let's play this game, and it's not like that. She'd rather play Switch or PC.
Yeah, that's something about modern gamers. They don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, they take things for granted when it comes to gaming.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is. I really do. I think that's what it is. I think they just see it as they have it, so it's like, you know, they don't know what it is to not go without, I guess you could say.
Yeah, there you go. That's what it is.
Especially the ones that they're growing up with parents that are gamers. Like, they have everything at their fingertips. Whereas maybe the parent that doesn't really game, those kids don't really have everything at their fingertips. So maybe they would have that, but
I mean, it might be the same thing with us, because most of us here grew up with maybe 6 NES carts, and we didn't get a new game every year. So
that's probably based on the next question. So you'll get time to talk about that. All right, Mark.
Yeah, I would probably say I've lost my mind. Or that I won the lottery or something.
And Bargain Bin.
Well, first off, my uncle would be like, "Wait, what do you mean you didn't become a director?"
oh,
And then he'd be just like, he would be flabbergasted. He would be like, where did you get all these games if you didn't become a director? How'd you afford all this? And I said, well, you just take a tech job, dude. That's how you do it. You won't get to play any of them, but you can have them.
you're right.
Yeah. you won't have the time to play them. They're nice to look at, but it's okay.
That's
He would
about
just,
it.
Falling if you're bad.
Teasing.
That seems to be everybody's issue right now. Just finding the time to play the game.
Yeah.
Holidays are coming up too, so it's busy for everybody. It's crazy.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next question. Number 11. What?
Number 10.
I'm sorry, number 10.
10.
Yeah, I was gonna read number 10. All right, number 10. What would you say about your childhood collection? Bones.
I mean, my childhood collection was, it was small, but because I did save for the most part and only purged slightly several times, I never got rid of truly everything. So it always continued to grow a little bit more and more and more. But as far as my early childhood collection, it was pretty small. Always going for the console when the next one was coming out is when I was usually getting that console, and everybody was getting the brand new one. I was always behind the mark on it, so it was a slow moving train. But I literally wanted to mimic the video game store right up the street from my house, and that's what I tried to do, and I did do that.
Yeah.
Dan?
I like dreams be dreams.
Yeah.
That's right.
My childhood collection, I was pretty proud of it. I mean, I was into gaming. I was a gamer from day one. I was always a collector. So I always kept my stuff, the boxes and everything. So it was always intact. I didn't have a huge collection. I mean, I didn't spend all my money on games at the time, so it could have been bigger, I guess. But I mean, I always had like a decent amount of games. I had similar or more games than my friends did. So it was. I think it was respectable for a kid that age at the time.
You just come out of the womb with a Game Boy in your hand?
Almost. I mean, I remember my dad dragging me up to. This might be the next question, nostalgic memory. But I remember my dad dragging me up to the store to buy an Atari, and I didn't even know what the hell it was, but that's how I got into gaming. Yeah.
All right, Dizzy, this is your chance about the childhood collection.
Here we go. Yeah, it wasn't much at all. Like I said, I had maybe 6 NES carts. I had way more Atari games than NES that I never really played once I got the NES. So I'm pretty much sticking from NES to NES games at that time. And back then, like I said, we didn't get a game every year or more than one game a year. So the collection never really grew. And it wasn't until I got a PlayStation 1 that I'd maybe get a game or 2 games every year. So that's pretty much what it was. The collection wasn't big, but at the same time, we didn't give our games away or anything like that. So what we had, we stuck to it. So we pretty much played those games all the time.
So you played the same shitty game over and over again.
Pretty much, man. That TMNT got played a lot.
I feel you, because I was in the same boat. Mark, MT Shark.
I would say a nice collection, but make sure you buy a lot of Little Samsons and,
Yeah.
and all the other rare games that are rare now.
Bargain bin.
I would say, well, yeah, just stop giving away your games because you're gonna miss a lot of them when you grow up. And they're like crazy expensive, so stop that. And also, I was kind of a spoiled kid. I didn't get new games every day, obviously, but usually it was for my birthday or Christmas. I could expect a good amount of games, or on the rare occasion I have my own money. And now it's like there's more days I do get a game than don't. Well, I'd like to think that's the case. Maybe not 100% that way, but it's like I have now adult with a paycheck and a serious gaming addiction that I'm not suffering from. I'm enjoying every minute of it. Thank you very much.
There you go.
And so I just would tell him, stop giving away your games because you're gonna miss them, but keep your chin up. It gets better from here. But stop it.
All right. Number 11. What is your favorite nostalgic gaming memory? Bargain bin.
I think I've told a few, but this one this is, how many of us had an older brother in here that your older brother always had to help you with really hard spots? One time, the shoe was on the other foot, and my brother still denies it. So the game was Burnout Revenge, and if you don't know it, it may have told the story, but I'm going to tell it again. It's a driving, like a racing game if someone crashes. And one type of mission, you basically drive into traffic and make a really big pileup. Well, my brother was struggling this one because you had to fly off a ramp onto an overpass, but he just could not do it. And me being little brother going, Jacob, let me play. Jacob, let me play. So to shut me up, he let me play. I got the gold medal on the first try. And he still denies it.
Mark, MT Shark.
I would say all the couch co-op memories I've had with my friends back in the day.
Dizzy.
I'm definitely gonna say in 7th grade over summer, me and a friend co-oping it. We beat Aladdin SNES, and that was the first game I ever beat ever. So I always have that memory, and I still love that game to this day.
Nice.
Yeah,
Dan.
love it.
I still remember the first video game I ever played, and that was Galaxian. My family went to go see Jaws 2 in the movie theater,
Ooh.
and we were a little early, so they had a machine in the lobby, and my dad stuck a quarter in the machine just to keep me occupied. I said, "Hey, play this while we wait." And I didn't even know how to use the controls or buttons or anything like that. But I remember that was the first video game I ever played.
Did your dad have to pick you up, or were you tall enough to be able to play it without?
I think I was.
crate.
That's a good question. I think they had one of those little stools.
Milk crate.
Yeah, or they had like a little step stool. I think I remember.
Bones.
I'd have to say that the gaming with friends is definitely right up there on the top of the list. But I would say besides that, it would be probably the releases of all the consoles as they were coming out over the years ago. The anticipation, the when you got one of those consoles for Christmas, all of those releases, I'd say up to like PS2, even 360, I was big into when it first came out. But the real early on ones, I miss those. Those are some of my favorite memories. Like just the anticipation. Oh my God, the Super Nintendo's coming out. From the NES on, Dan, I'm not quite old enough for the Atari. I mean, it was out, but I wasn't blessed with it. So I would say all the console releasing years ago is my favorite nostalgic memories.
All right, last question. If you could restart your gaming career from the beginning, knowing what you know about how your tastes and interests changed and evolved, what would you do different? Bargain bin.
Well, first I would stop giving away games like an idiot, and I would be a little more open to try things that I was certain I wouldn't like because later in life I was thinking, hey, this actually is pretty cool. And I just maybe would be a little more adamant to try and get my parents to let me play games they wouldn't let me play. My brother though, like he was really adamant about playing Mortal Kombat, and they wouldn't let him rent it. And now he doesn't really have time because he's a father of 2 and in the military. So I would be more open to trying things and stop giving stuff away like a doofus.
MT Shark.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused on the question. Does resetting the gaming career, does that mean like You said like collecting, like everything I've obtained thus far.
Like turn back in time to when you're just starting to play video games, but you retain the knowledge you have now.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I would definitely pick up more of the games that are rare that I knew that are rare.
Makes sense. Dizzy.
I would read more GTA strategy guides, like yeah, definitely. Like in a lot of the gaming communities I'm in, like I'm the GTA guy in the gaming communities, but like I'm not an expert. Like I can play the games without using memory cards or save states or any of the cheats, but
But he's not an expert.
I want to be an expert.
He's not an
I'd
expert.
rather know where everything
Doing
at,
that
you
is
know?
not expert enough. Knowing how to
No.
beat the game without saving is not expert enough.
I could always be better.
Dan.
Yeah, I mean, like what was said earlier by a lot of people is just knowing what I know now. I would be like, save every single piece of video gaming material. that you
Save
have.
all the shrink wrap.
Save boxes, manuals. I would buy, several copies of
Don't
games.
open the game.
Like I'm almost certain I saw stadium events in the store when I was a kid. I just
You
didn't
probably
want to
did.
buy it.
I think we all have.
Yeah, I just didn't want it.
Yeah, I
or
think I
definitely,
did
I remember
too.
there's a game, Chubby Cherub, which is really expensive. I remember seeing that going, man, what the hell is that? Who would want that stupid looking game? So I would just make sure I would get a lot of the games I didn't think about when I was a kid.
Bones.
I would do full sets and get the more expensive ones knocked out first. That's what I would do different. And I'd save all the fucking boxes and material for them as I go with it. Because like Dan said, if you don't have that, you're a fool if you knew it.
That's right. All right, that concludes the podcast. On to the last segment. Game of the month. Bones. What's your game of the
I'm
month?
gonna go with Diddy Kong Racing.
Diddy
Kart
Kong!
Racing.
That's a
Diddy
good
Kart.
one.
Titty Kong.
Mm-hmm.
Dan.
I mentioned earlier I played Zaxxon today, so that's always a good game to go back and visit. So
Dizzy.
Jet Li Rise to Honor. I saw Linda streaming this game earlier today, and I don't think I have it in the collection, but it looked really, really good. I want it now.
MT Shark.
Dark Pictures Anthology, House of Ashes.
And the Bargain Bin Hobo.
That would be X-Men Destiny, if I haven't done that before, but I'm doing it again because I love that game.
All right, that concludes the podcast. Thank you. Please like, comment, and subscribe. As always, don't blow, just leave. Later.
Leave it.
Later, guys. Thanks for listening.
yeah.
Support your local Blockbuster.
Support your local dust league maker.
Both.
Later.
Later, guys. Bye.
Yeah.
Check 1 2 1 2.
Check 1 2 3 1 2 3.
Check, check. Is it me? Is it me?
Hey, is it me? Is it me?
Test 1 2 3. Is it me? Is it me?
Say, is it me too? What the hell?
Okay, so how's your day, everybody? I'm thinking that we should probably get to the
Yeah.
store and get some.
It might be me. I'm not sure.
Blah 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 blah.
Unless somebody's not using
If
headphones. If
Blah,
somebody's
blah.
not using headphones, it might be it.
Who's not using headphones?
I'm not.
Oh.
All right. Bones.
Yeah. No, I'm just fucking with you.
Dan.
Mic check again. 1 2 3.
Dizzy.
Check, check. 1 2 1 2.
Mark.
Check, check.
And Bargain Bin.
Oh no, they say he's got to go. Go, go, Godzilla.
Alrighty. Let's check that.